it's Drybear. There's a whole lot of news going on around the S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 release just 2 days ago, so I wanted to talk about everything going on from a perspective of a S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 fan, but also just highlight what's being discussed right now from the launch. And don't worry, I'm not going to be going over any spoilers in this, but I just want to talk about the reception of the game and also where the dev stands right now. So overall, at least in my own little bubble, like I was just sitting in a dark room playing S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 by myself, enjoying it so much and having a blast. But there's actually a lot of mixed feedback on the game and its reception as well, especially on console. So there's a bunch of issues that we need to talk about. But first, let's put ourselves in the right mindset by reading out just kind of where the devs have responded to this in general. First of all, they say it feels utterly surreal to say that, but S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 Heart of Chernobyl is out now. It's totally wild. And keep in mind that the developers here went through some of the craziest development line has ever been seen in gaming. They had they ran out of money, they shut down and closed their doors permanently and released their source code for all their old games. Then they decided they were going to start back up again, and they had this gung-ho attitude. Their studio office caught fire. They had all kinds of like crazy liquidations and money problems. Then as they were doing S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, the war in Ukraine started and some of their developers got drafted. So it's like, and the war is still going on right now, so they've got crazy things going on for the developers. So it's a miracle that they even were able to upgrade to modern day technology with Unreal Engine 5 and also release the biggest game they've ever made. So despite all the odds, it's here, our biggest game, our own story, our love letter to Ukraine. After more than 15 years, the doors to the zone are opened once again. Very exciting, very memorable. They're very grateful. S.T.A.L.K.E.R is meaningful in its own way for each fan. We hope that those who have been familiar with this universe for a long time will immediately feel at home and recognize that very same S.T.A.L.K.E.R for all newcomers. It's a project of endless love, and we want it to be felt throughout with a handcrafted world. However, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is a massive game. It's the biggest game they've ever done. We literally haven't released anything of this scale before. We're committed to being here, monitoring your feedback, and quickly fixing any issues that need our attention. In the first days after release, we'll be working with hotfixes, rolling them out as precisely as possible, but as frequently as we can, and switch to larger updates later on. They've already confirmed that there will be 2 free DLCs with story expansions and a multiplayer mode coming along the way. But they preface this for a good reason, because there are a lot of people that have mixed feedback on the game. Some people like me, which are huge S.T.A.L.K.E.R fans, that are just happy to have a new modern S.T.A.L.K.E.R to play, and it feels very much like a S.T.A.L.K.E.R game. Everything, for better or for worse, is just like a S.T.A.L.K.E.R game, and I think that's experiencing the passage of time in some way for people that weren't already, didn't put their rose-tinted glasses on. We're experiencing some of the maybe outdated or somewhat antiquated perceptions and mechanics that happen inside the game. There's also some big bugs and issues as well. The first one is a big major issue with controllers. Players are experiencing a stick drift issue. There's issue where it's sliding off, and it's a big tech problem they've been trying to address. For their live Q&A, which they're doing all day, every day, and we'll kind of jump in and do tidbits as we keep up with it, but they say that they're working to get a hotfix that is stable and good. They don't want to rush out a hotfix to fix some of these critical issues and end up making the game worse for other people that are not having these issues specifically, but they are working on all of these issues like the stick drift specifically, which is causing a big problem for anyone playing on a controller. They've also had major complaints about the relative HP of the mutants in the game. The basic mutants, like medium size and lower, haven't really been complained about too much, but specifically the bloodsuckers and larger are being complained about, especially on the veteran difficulty, just having a large amount of health for how dangerous they are. Now, there are mods available that you can download for the game. Some of these might make the game a lot better for you, and this is kind of always what S.T.A.L.K.E.R has been about. That's why we have versions like Gamma and Anomaly, as well as a bunch of other mods that make the game alterable for how you would like to play the game. In fact, if you go to Nexus Mods right now, if you're playing on PC, that is, on Xbox, obviously you can't do this, but there are some options in here like making the backpack faster, lowering your weight restriction on things like healing items, as well as ammunition. There's also modifications for the ADS and different speeds for those animations as well, and they're also non-cheat engine, like just basic file mods as well to help adjust the HP of some of the mutants on some of the harder difficulties. There's even questions around the duration of night versus day, and there are mods that adjust the day-night cycle if you would like it to be longer or shorter, and the game does get incredibly dark, which is something that I appreciate. I feel the tension and the atmosphere a lot more when things are incredibly dark and it's hard to know what's going on, but I know a lot of people may not want to experience that depending on what kind of experience you're looking for out of Stalker 2, so you can actually do some mods for the day-night cycle. If you're on Xbox, you'll just have to mess with your TV settings or just muscle through and enjoy the darkness for what it is. Because the devs have confirmed that this is the intended duration, they like it where it is. They've also confirmed that they are working hard on some optimization improvements. The day one patch, which most people didn't get to experience, from the review copies that were sent out to the day one patch or the day -2 patch, like the first two patches that went live before the game even launched had massive impacts on the game overall. In fact, a lot of the reviews that you're seeing that played the review copy had way more technical issues than most people are having on launch, and that's because of the update that they pushed right before the game went live. And they have confirmed that they are launching they're working on a new optimization pass that's going to help with a lot of the hardware issues and technical issues that people are experiencing with the game. Some people are saying that it's completely unplayable for them based on their hardware, and even on console, some Xboxes, they're having trouble getting the game to run properly. So they are working on an optimization patch that they hope to have out very soon. The next thing we have to talk about is the Stalker A-Life system. Now, this is a coined system that existed in the first game. For anyone who didn't play the Stalker games, they had two separate AI layers going at once. There was the AI layer that was your immediate vicinity, any monsters or enemies that you're encountering that are directly engaging with you, the player. They had another system which they had called the A-Life system, which is the simulated life of the environment of the zone, which was anything that was outside a certain range of your character. So bandits would move from camp to camp, military encampments would relocate or reinforce, and things would happen without you being there to make the world feel more alive. And it's one of the biggest things that made Stalker feel so different and unique, and they had been touting an A-Life 2.0 evolution of this system for Stalker 2. However, many people have noticed and commented on the fact that it doesn't feel like a 2.0. In fact, in some people's conditions and experiences, they don't feel like A-Life is in there at all. Now, this is in their current patch cycle right now. They're working on the optimization, they're working on the bug fixes for the stick drift, and they're also working on making sure that the A-Life is working. They have stated that the state that A-Life is in right now, that people are having issues with it, where enemies are spawning randomly in front of you, they're entering that inner layer of immediate vicinity, or they're just not working at all in general. They're saying most of this is due to just bugs that are causing errors to happen with the A-Life 2.0 system. So they are saying that they are working on improving it. And they also directly respond to the comment that they removed A-Life 2.0 from their marketing page and from the Steam page. A lot of people took this as a conspiracy, or as I mentioned, that they just didn't ship with the system at all. And there's been a lot of discussion on whether or not A-Life 2.0 is even in the game at all, or if it was just a bait and switch for a lot of people. So they do respond to this, saying that even before the game was released, it was just an update of a marketing text aimed at newer players to avoid repetition in the text. They're just saying that since most people that don't play Stalker don't know what the heck A-Life means, they took it out of their marketing text just to make it a little bit more broad and reach more people, not that it's not in the game in general. They're not trying to hide it. It is in the game, and they're just having a lot of bugs and issues. So there are issues with A-Life right now. We know about them, and we are fixing them as fast as possible. So they are working on it. You probably are going to experience some things where enemies spawn right in front of you or right next to you, or just generally kind of flood you in some areas. I had an encounter in one base where I was flooded by like 26 bandits on veteran. It was a very long, hour-long shootout. A lot of blood was spilled that day, and it definitely felt like I couldn't tell where they were coming from, if they were spawning around the corner or just right next to me. But it's something that it felt good to me, but it definitely feels odd if you're not expecting it going in. Also, if you are on Xbox, they are going to be putting an update, like a post on what their plans are for mod support going forward. I think in the modern day, most games like this that are multi-platform that exist on console and PC, like Baldur's Gate 3, generally we like to see those kind of the best mods being integrated into the actual client. So if you're on a fixed closed system like PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, etc., you'll be able to take advantage of the mods because they come with a default pack. You don't have to find a way to access your default files or your game files to make modifications there. If you're on PC, obviously, you can find mods online that you can adjust the game how you see fit, but also they're going to be making an official announcement soon on what their plans are for mod support in the client itself. Another big one for a lot of people that are wondering, is this a bug? Is this intended? What's going on here? Is the idea of being able to reload while sprinting. They like having the realism in the game so that you feel like you're immersed in it. And there's a situation right now where people are feeling the kind of old-timey classic development of the game itself. Like, for example, if you start a reload and then start sprinting, it will cancel the reload. And if you're sprinting currently, you won't be able to start a reload until you stop sprinting. And so a lot of people are wondering, is this a bug? Is this intended? And they have confirmed, at least from their own mouth, that this is intended. They do not want you to reload while sprinting. A lot of this is going to be more tactical, positional, and realistic style combat, which means that if you get to a point where you don't have any ammo in your magazine or in your actual weapon in the chamber, and you get into a bad spot, that might just be death for you just because you weren't prepared. And I think this problem a little bit is exacerbated by the weapon durability and jamming system in the game. So if you have a low durability weapon, your weapon's going to jam a lot more. So based on how well maintained your weapon is, it'll jam more or less. High durability weapons won't jam at all. And so you have a situation where you might have a low durability weapon. It's the only weapon you've got. It's going to jam sometimes every other bullet, which means that you need to reload to fix the jam. However, you can't reload while sprinting. So I think this problem is probably going to be an ongoing thing that people will probably either, adjust through mods or just have to adjust their playstyle to fix. But let me know what you think about this kind of situation down below. An interesting note from the devs as well, they have confirmed that loot does not respawn, which means you can't keep revisiting new areas to get more and more loot. So it looks like a single playthrough is kind of what you're looking for. Now, obviously, the enemies do respawn and they do drop regularly things that you need: ammunition, food, consumables, medical items, things like that. So the enemies will be a regular source for loot, but you won't be able to constantly go back to the same place and re-loot places because they won't respawn with their loot. Another big one for the game is they are missing a very huge option that has existed for a long time and is pretty standard for most console controller-based games, and that is the idea to play around with the dead zone on your controller based on the analog you're talking about. There is no support currently for either controller support on PC or on Xbox to be able to mess with the dead zone, and not only are they've confirmed they're working on a fix for the stick drift problem, which is related to dead zone, they are working on a implementation to allow you to adjust the dead zone for your controller on Xbox as well, which some people might, it might be make or break for them. Some people may not even want to play the game unless there's good enough auto-aim, dead zone, and control options in the settings menu because they want it to feel just right. Another crazy situation with S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is that there are some new files being added to the Steam branch, which of course is public, so anytime new files get uploaded, even if that version is unreleased, the file names get exposed to anyone that is on Steam. And if you go to the database on Steam, there are new branches being created that are called crypto. So it's a crypto branch for it. Now, I don't know if it's something thematic or themed for it in general, but they have been asked whether or not they're going to be adding crypto coins, cryptocurrency, or NFT to S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, and they replied with no, there is no, they're not adding crypto, they're not adding NFT functionality to the game. It either is story related or just a weird name related, or it's just something about the game itself, but the branch crypto that people are finding is not related to NFTs or crypto if you're worried about that coming to the game. They've also mentioned that they're going to be addressing a binding issue with specifically the flashlight, but also some people have complained that they aren't able to bind anything at all in general. Key bindings just aren't working in some places for specific people. But that's where we're at for the S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 news today. Let me know what you think about all of these and also what your experience is for S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 down below. I know some people have mentioned that they have uninstalled the game and they have refunded it. I'm having a great time with it. I'm having no issues. This is exactly what I was expecting, and I'm only looking forward to more updates to polish the game up and potentially even add more mod support or in-game mod support. But let me know where you stand on the fence, or if you're someone that's really enjoying it, you think it's kind of mid, or you think it has too many problems to be addressed right now, and what are the biggest problems that you're having inside of S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 today. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.